Hi, everyone. My name is Mykhailo Sydorchuk. I am Senior Program Manager in Microsoft Digital Employee Experiences Team Productivity. Gosh, that's a mouthful. And as Matt mentioned, the Company Communicator app, which I'm going to walk through today and do the demo, it's all about the adaptive cards. So actually, this solution, it was built by the product group, and it's provided to all of you through the GitHub. So there is a set of Teams app templates, and Company Communicator is just one of those templates. So what does this solution do? So the main goal of the Company Communicator is to enable communicators to create and send messages intended for multiple teams or large audiences inside of the organizations, and to send those messages in Teams through chat or channels, and to reach employees right where they collaborate, meaning in Teams. The original template was had to be a little bit adjusted to be used inside of Microsoft, and the main changes that we made were including support of multiple apps and bots. So the original template only could handle a single authoring dashboard and a single communicator bot. And inside of Microsoft, obviously, we have multiple communication teams and also multiple divisions which have a need to have their own way to communicate with their users. And because of that, we have extended the solution to utilize multiple communication channels. Also, our communications team, they not always have a need to send to a DL or a list of team members. So because of that, they sometimes are sending to some custom list of recipients. So because of that, we've also extended the solution to take a custom CSV file as an input and then process all those users as recipients. Another change was full support for custom adaptive cards. So the initial template, it just had a couple of fields which the communicators fill in, and based on that data, the adaptive card is created. But that was not sufficient because I'll show it during the demo later, but we had a need to send more customized messages, and full support of adaptive cards could cover that because, as you know, adaptive cards can be whatever you want them to be. Another change is direct image embedding. So by default, the solution supported image embedding using the URL. However, sometimes communication teams have a need to secure the image so the image is not exposed publicly. And we have figured a way to directly embed the image into the card and then send it to all recipients. So the image is not available by publicly accessible URL. And the last but not least change is programmatic message sending via API. So right now we are thinking about Company Communicator as a platform, and right now the solution can be extended and have other apps or services tapping into it and sending messages through the centralized platforms that we control, that we have audit for, and utilize this technology to send messages in Teams to target recipients. So this is the high-level overview of the app. So what we've done recently was a pilot program. So initially, our communications team, obviously, were looking for different ways to communicate to employees, and Teams is the most obvious way because that's where employees stay doing their daily work. And in order not to break that flow of work, communication teams wanted to reach out to employees in Teams. And we've also done some initial case study with members of our Elite program. Elite is the internal Microsoft dog fooding program where users are testing new features. And we did an original round, and majority of users have shown an interest to receiving communication in Teams versus just email. So we went ahead, we've started the project, implemented the changes, and then we've started like the full-blown pilot program with Elite, and we had 600 members enrolled in the program. We've sent them multiple messages, and you can see the example of those messages on the screenshot. So the messages were around Teams best practices, just Elite program overview, company communicator details, and so on. So overall, the performance of the solution was that we've been able to send 600 messages under 1 minute, and 100% success rate for all of the users who had the bot enabled or like pushed them. So what did we learn from the Elite program? Overall, the users were very satisfied with receiving communication in Teams, and for majority of the users, getting like reading the adaptive card contents and getting the message conveyed in that card were very intuitive and easy. 97% of respondents were satisfied with receiving communications via chat, and also we've been really curious to hear if the communication through Teams is disruptive or not disruptive for the users. And the majority of responders, like 67%, would want to receive communication in chat at least 2 to 3 times a week. So the users, so the conclusion that we made, the users are very open to receive communication in Teams and adopt this like new ways of working and shifting their workloads fully into Teams. So with that, I'll just go to the demo, and I'm going to share my screen and walk you through the solution. The app itself consists of 2 parts. We have the bot based on Microsoft Bot Framework, and the bot is the interface for the end users, and the end users are receiving the communications from the bot, and you can see like one communication on my screen as an example. The second part of the app is the authoring dashboard, and it is used by communication managers to craft and send messages to their target audiences. So I'm in that environment right now, and I'll just create a new message and show you how that initial screen looks. So we have a couple of fields, and the fields are pretty intuitive. So we have title, you can upload and embed the image, summary, author, and we can also add a button to the card. And on the right side, we can see the card previews of the communication teams. They can like see exactly how the comms would look based on what they specify here. So I already have some message drafted. So just an example for HR communications. We have employee town hall today, so it's a really good use case for HR team to remind all users that there is an important event in the company and the event is coming today. A note about the image. So we can embed the image using the direct URL to the image, and also we can upload the image. And by image upload, actually what we are doing, we are base 64 encoding the image and then storing the image in the bot database. So then we can use this encoded string and embed it directly into the card. And by doing so, the image does not go outside of the bot environment, and all the users would receive the image directly in their card. In terms of the button, we can specify the URL and then button title, and this button will be displayed to all recipients. Then second, after we have composed the message, we need to define who will be receiving the message, and we have multiple options here. So we can send the message to the general channel of the specific teams. We can send in chat to specific people, meaning members of the team. So over here, I'm just going to send it to all members of HR users MS team. Other options are sending to M365 group, distribution group, security group, and then we can also upload the custom CSV file and process all recipients. Last option is sending in chat to everyone who are in scope of this bot. So I'm just going to go ahead and send it to my HR users team, save it as draft. After it's saved as draft, we can also preview the card in the general channel of the team. Just go here, and this is my card, so looks good. Yep, we are ready to send it. Going back to the authoring dashboard and triggering the send. final confirmation screen, making sure that we are sending it to the right recipients and no errors on the card. Once the message is sent, on the back end, header data function processes the message and just triggers the bot message to all target recipients in scope. And I just got a message from Company Communicator app, and here is my message. So the app is very straightforward, and the target audience is communication managers, so it's very intuitive and easy to use. Different use case is composing a fully custom adaptive card. So also we can just embed the card payload and send the card that we have composed in Adaptive Cards Designer. So I'm just gonna go and use my favorite sample. Thanks for providing that, Matt. Just love this designer. We've been using it a lot, and I can't tell you how many times we've been using this specific card. So I'm just copying the card payload, going back to the bot, pasting it here, and boom, exactly as it was in the designer. So it's the beauty of adaptive cards that we can reuse them in this solution as well. So just going to send this message to the general channel of our authors team. 7 is wrapped, and sending. Again, one additional verification. Turn to send. Oh, and by the way, after the message was processed, we can also download the report and see like how much time it would take to send the message, failure and success rates, and we can also export detailed results, which would include all users who had been processed and their respective status of the communication. And going back to the general channel of our HR authors team. So this is the card which was sent to the bot. Just a quick touch on the technology behind the scenes. So it's available again in the GitHub template. But in order to compose this like default adaptive card, we are just using adaptive cards library, and based on the information that the users had input, like title, image link, summary, author, and so on, we are just creating an adaptive card. And adaptive card creator, it's again like we are utilizing the adaptive card library, and we are just taking the values provided by the communications team and composing the card from them. So it's very straightforward and very easy to extend if you need to do so. So that's pretty much it I have for today. Please let me know in the chat if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer those. Thank you.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, the chat was lively, I will say. Tons of discussion. I think you actually, in your and my discussion, I think we knew ahead of time this was going to come up. A lot of talk about base64 encoded images. Do you want to speak to that real quick? And I'll also, while you're formulating your answer to that, normally our chat doesn't have that much back and forth, so it's easy for me to scroll back and see which question. So if anyone did not get a question answered, why don't you feel free to go ahead and put your hand up right now, and then we can talk it over on the audio. And if we missed your chat or someone hasn't helped you, just go ahead and ping it, and we'll get through. I'm trying to scroll through it live, but it's also a little tricky with all this stuff going on. So yeah, Mykhailo, do you want to explain a little bit about the base64 encoding?
Yeah, absolutely. So the image is just encoded into base64 string and stored in the database and then embedded into the card. But obviously, we are subject to the adaptive card size limitations. So we every time we need to make sure that the encoded image is still up to that size limit. And because of that, we have noticed a somewhat drop in the image quality. But unfortunately, we have to just live with that, because, I mean, if a communications team doesn't want the drop in the image quality, then they can embed the image using the URL. But if the image has to be like private, then unfortunately there is no other way to embed it rather than encode and produce the quality.
And now we've talked about, so there was a chat, Ojasvi, I'm going to put you on the spot here real quick, because I did see some chat about, is the max 25 kilobytes, or some people were saying maybe it had gone up. I know we were looking at increasing the payload size. Has anything changed on that front?
So I think Nikita replied in the chat. So 28 is the max kilobyte for the message size within Teams. And I think the adaptive card payload is limited to 16. So we are definitely working on expanding that in the future. Yeah. So we're taking that up as a work item in Q2. So hopefully we can address it by Q3.
Okay, cool. And Nikita, did you want to add anything, or is that cover it?
Oh, just we got it.
Okay, cool.
I just should add that if you follow Stack Overflow, that's something that comes up really, really often.
Yeah.
People get weird errors because their cards are not sent into Teams, and then it turns out it's a size limit. So it happens really, really often.
I saw someone suggesting a potential warning in the designer itself that if we do exceed the payload limit. I think that's a really good suggestion. It's come up a handful of times, but I think it is one of those ones that I would start to argue for. We do have a pretty large backlog with our limited team, but that one, I do agree that it does generate a lot of questions and stuff and just confusion, which is the worst part because you don't really know why it failed. The quick question I had too on that for really the room, and feel free to add in the chat, and also Mykhailo, we've talked about adding authenticated image support to, say, SharePoint URLs, basically things that are within your same tenant, so that we could technically use the same auth that you're logged into with Teams. Would that meet a lot of the needs? Would it meet half of the image needs? I mean, a lot of these images, are they coming from an internal SharePoint that's within your same tenant, or are they sometimes out of completely different places, at which point, base 64 might be the way to go? I'm curious how much we should prioritize how easily we can reference technically secured images, but they're at least still within the same tenant. So if people want to just kind of comment on chat, that would be nice for us to have some context on.
And Matt, just one point I want to make for the designer aspect is the designer is also open source. So if folks do feel like, hey, I feel like I have some expertise here and I could jump in and help, we do welcome pull requests and people jumping in to help out because it is an open source project. So if you do want to help out and get some contributions in there, please feel free to reach out to us and we can start helping you join and start up in that.
Yeah, great point. Absolutely. That'd be a nice one to get your feet wet in the adaptive cards library. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Mykhailo. I know you said you had a kind of hard stop at 9:30, so people, get your questions in like right now if you can, but also reach out to us afterwards, or if you have any other thoughts or feedback, and we can route them appropriately. But thank you so much for sharing.
There is a couple more questions in the chat. I'd like to address those. So there was a question from Hilton, if that's a new version coming to the GitHub or that particular company implementation. So the version I've demoed is the internal Microsoft implementation of Company Communicator, and right now these changes are not available to the customers, but we are exploring the ways to either include them into the GitHub template, or maybe like provide Company Communicator as a part of the platform. That's still being discussed, so no solid answer there. But yeah, the version I've demoed was just our internal Microsoft implementation. And another note, so like as I was just doing this demo, I've got a new message from our internal Company Communicator pilot. So I'll just share my screen really quickly and show you how that looks internally. So the other difference that this is no reply bot, and we cannot respond to the bot, but this is the message I've just got about new feature in Teams. So there are like other messages I've been getting. So this is how it looks in the production environment.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for the chat, and Mykhailo for sharing that.
Thank you.